Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
The Al-Aqsa Brigades, the military wing of Fatah, announced that it blew up an Israeli Hummer vehicle in the Rafah refugee camp, killing 2 Israeli soldiers and wounding 2 others. Meanwhile, the Israeli occupation forces have destroyed more than 20 Palestinian homes in the city of Rafah, in the southern Gaza Strip. The Israeli escalations came after the Israeli Prime Minister, Ariel Sharon, gave an order to his army to expand the Philadelphia route on the border of Egypt.
Parts of
the Zaytun neighborhood witnessed another chapter in a series of Ariel Sharon's mass destruction. The place this time is Rafah. The aim is to destroy Palestinian homes to expand 9 kilometers in the Philadelphia crossing, which borders Egypt.
أما الذرائع فهي كثيرة وجاهزة كالعادة وتبتدئ من الإجراءات الوقائية.
As usual, the bulldozers are many as they began to take precautionary measures to protect Israeli soldiers and their military transport vehicles. They finish by preventing the creation of tunnels to smuggle weapons into the Gaza Strip. The Israeli bulldozers destroyed more than 20 homes in Rafah in a surprise campaign which terrorized the residents. They did not give the residents, not even the children, time to take out some of their basic possessions or escape outdoors. Israeli Apache helicopters shot many missiles at residential targets in Block 5 in the city of Rafah. According to initial reports, many people were injured.
ويبدو أن مقتل 11 جنديا إسرائيليا يومي الثلاثاء والأربعاء.
Perhaps the killing of 11 Israeli soldiers last Tuesday and Wednesday encouraged Sharon to easily escalate his logistical operations, which will pave the political passage for his Gaza withdrawal plan. Israeli newspaper polls indicate that Sharon has more opportunities to impose his plan. The Yediot Ahronot newspaper poll reported that the percentage of those who supported the withdrawal from Gaza increased from 62% before the recent killing of Israeli soldiers to 72% now. The Ma'arif newspaper poll reported that those who support Sharon's unilateral plan rose to 79% if there can be no agreement with responsible Palestinian officials. Meanwhile, the Israeli Labour Party decided to pay the price for allowing Sharon's plan to pass. Tomorrow, 100,000 of its members will gather in Rabin Square in Tel Aviv. They are more than the number of Likud party members who voted against the plan of their own leader, Sharon, in a referendum held 2 weeks ago.
One U.S. occupation Marine was killed during fighting in the Anbar province west of Baghdad. Meanwhile, a series of loud explosions rocked the holy Iraqi city of Najaf on Friday, hours after fighting broke out between U.S. troops and Iraqi resistance fighters in the city's cemetery. This came as Al-Mahdi army was still confronting U.S. occupation attempts to storm into the holy city of Karbala, where U.S. tanks were firing randomly, hitting the holy shrine of Imam Hussein, peace be upon him.
It seems that the U.S. occupation authority in Iraq is not seeking a peaceful solution in the holy city of Najaf to end fightings between American occupation forces and Al-Mahdi army resistance fighters. Statements made by U.S. Administrator of Occupied Iraq, Paul Bremer, refused to acknowledge the agreement sponsored by senior religious and political figures to end the holy city crisis.
Unfortunately, Bremer's statements can only be interpreted that his side is refusing peaceful negotiations and that they want to kill Iraqis in the full sense of the word.
Before Bremer's statements, Iraqi senior religious figures, among which is Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Sistani and Sayyid Abdul Aziz al-Hakim Stream, were demanding that Sayyid Muqtada Sadr's Mahdi army pull out from the holy city of Najaf. Demonstrations were set to take place in the city streets, but it was noticeable that there was no sign of disunity among parties. Thousands of Sadr supporters took to the streets of the holy city of Najaf to express their support for Sayyid Muqtada Sadr and Sayyid Sistani. They chanted slogans calling for unity under the Islamic Marja'iyya. A similar demonstration by the supporters of the Supreme Assembly for the Islamic Revolution in Iraq was supposed to take place later. However, it was delayed due to a request by a Sadr Stream in order to have time to participate in it.
In fact, I received from their side a request to take part in the massive demonstration. We were organizing saying that it held mutual aims, and I'm now passing on an image with lots of love, understanding and regard among all of our Islamic streams.
Hours after the statement, a series of explosions rocked the holy city after fighting broke out between U.S. troops and Iraqi resistance fighters in the city's vast cemetery. Fighting broke out on the road leading from Najaf to the nearby city of Kufa, where Sayyid Muqtada Sadr was scheduled to deliver a sermon at Friday prayers. The Americans are shooting at the Imam Hussein shrine, this fighter said, as he took part in defending the holy city of Karbala against continuous American attempts to storm into it. Iraqi resistance fighters grouped in the city alleys and conducted many attacks against U.S. occupation tanks. A Reuters TV correspondent reported that Assad's Mahdi army members had attacked a U.S. Abrams tank with plastic-covered rocket-propelled grenades and seriously damaged it. However, there was no immediate confirmation from the U.S. Occupation Command.
Now, concerning the latest developments in the Iraqi city of Najaf, fierce clashes between Iraqi fighters and U.S. occupation troops left at least 3 Iraqis dead and at least 16 wounded. And reports were saying that U.S. troops pulled out from the city and were now positioned in the outskirts. Now, U.S. Administrator of occupied Iraq, Paul Bremer, Friday aired the possibility of an American pullout from the country, saying the United States did not stay where it was not welcome. He said that if the provisional government asks us to leave, then we will leave. Bremer's words came after the Washington Post said on Thursday, quoting a poll conducted for the U.S. Occupation Authority in Iraq, that 80% of Iraqis mistrust the occupation authority and 82% disapprove of U.S.-led occupation forces in their country. The results of the survey, which has not been publicly released, are frustrating for occupation and Washington officials because they seem to indicate that the U.S. actions in Iraq are winning anger among Iraqis. Even more troubling, the Daily added, is the fact that the residents of Baghdad, Mosul, Basra, Nasiriyah, Karbala and Ramadi were polled in late March and early April, that is before the Iraqi prisoners' abuse scandal. U.S. Deputy Defense Secretary Paul Wolfowitz admitted on Thursday that the cost of financing wars in Iraq and Afghanistan would be over $50 billion for the next budget year that begins on October the 1st.